changing a tire in this heat. It's like 4,000 degrees out there.
It is. It's so hot out there.
If you saw a guy like changing his tire on the side of the road, he might be on fire right now. Like just burst into flames.
You put on max AC and it still doesn't do anything. It feels like normal AC.
Right,
it's
right.
like, this is Texas now? And we get all this rain and it's still hot. What the hell's going on?
They said that we can get it 20 degrees cooler in your AC from what it is outside. Well, when it's 120, that's 100
Yeah,
degrees.
it's still 100 degrees.
You're like yelling at people. I turn into my old man. I'm
Exactly.
like, don't touch the door. Don't touch the thermostat.
Don't touch the thermostat, yeah.
Don't touch anything.
Your windows were open during this? Jeez.
Yep, exactly. I'm Mike Wilshire. I'm your host of the Hoots Happening podcast. I got with me John Carter, and it's Honky Tonk
Traditions.
Honky Tonk Traditions.
Yeah, we prefer the slur, so we're okay with it.
You're okay with
We're down with the slur, yeah.
I love it. I love it. So you're now. We've talked a little bit before the show, and I've talked to you before at other things, but born in mid-90s, right?
Yes, sir. 96 out of Ozark, Arkansas, and I say that literally born and raised on a farm. By that I mean literally born in the house.
In the house,
yeah.
On the farm.
Born and raised within half a mile of each other. So
nice.
Yeah, my entire life until I went to college. So.
Right,
Yeah.
and went off to school.
Yep.
Service.
A little bit.
Yeah,
at 18, I went through ROTC in college and just had broken bones.
Yeah, it was injuries.
I had some injuries. Served, drilled for about a year. And at that time, I was a tri-sport collegiate athlete, so obviously they wanted more time than I could give them, and just took a general discharge. And currently, I'm trying to get back in. I'd like to fly, but yeah, that's what happened in college. Starting out freshman year, it was a great start, right?
Right, what a way to start.
Just way to fail right off the bat.
And love of the dance. You're a theater performer. Did it start? When did the bug bite you?
Well, my mom taught me to dance when I was 6 years old.
Right.
Taught me to two-step, just a basic two. My mom wasn't an incredible dancer, but to me, she was everything, at that age. And so she taught me just a simple two-step, the quick, quick, slow, slow. And so at weddings, we danced all the time. My family, we're Italians. Everyone just gets drunk and dances like crazy.
Yeah.
And I grew up watching my aunts and uncles all have their particular styles. They all had little mannerisms that they did, and the beautiful thing was that they learned how to dance together, and that's what I learned from age of 6. I had to lead my mom, and I did it. And then as I grew up, 10 years old, I did a little bit of theater here and there. High school, did sports, but also did theater. Was hated by both. The athletes thought I was a little weird for doing theater, and the theater kids hated me for doing sports because I was taking their spots.
Hey, I mean, they
screw them. I don't care.
Right, I'm there for me, boys.
Exactly.
It's not for.
And then I went to college and did some theater there as well. But in the end, it's really just an outlet. I think people kind of I feel like they over philosophize and over romanticize a lot of things. Theater has never been for me, even dancing has never been like heaven or like a way for me to be myself. I'm always myself, but it is a way to express myself.
Right.
But I express myself 1,000 different ways through 1,000 different things, and so
you're probably one of those actors that like me, I can only play this character. I can only play the 6'1", 300-pound tough guy with this voice and this accent. Bill Burr talks about, I can only play the angry guy from Boston.
In every show.
Christopher Walken is the same voice no matter what he does. So you're probably like me. You're going to play Jack. You're going to play the giant in Jack and the Beanstalk because you're so tall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to have to. All these different things that you're limited to what you can do.
Yeah, people definitely put me in a box. I mean, what's funny, I always tell people is now, again, I instruct dancing, but and people know me around the world. I have people in France who know my name simply because I dance, but I never danced in high school.
Right.
Like in all of our plays, not once was I allowed in the choreography.
Really?
Never. There was like White Christmas. I got to dance Two Girls at Once, and I was like the playboy, but like never learned any of the dance choreography. And
really?
Now I'm choreographing things. I'm doing that. I'm like, it's kind of weird to look back and be like, I was excluded, but now this is like kind of a job for me. And so I definitely was typecasted, but now I'm trying to take advantage of that typecast. However, being the youngest sibling, I always saw myself as like, why not? Why can't I? And so I did get typecasted into a lot of situations. However, I've been blessed to have opportunities. Like I did Romeo in high school, and then I also in the same Romeo and Juliet in college. I got to play Tybalt, so I got to be the bad boy, but also I got to be the lover boy.
Right.
And also I got to be a writer that was in a murder scene before, of like this very weak guy that got to.
Cool to play the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's cool to play the weak guy.
Cool to play the weak guy because I got intimidated. The villain in that story was like a 5'6", very weird kid, but he did so. It was in college. When I say kid, he was actually a senior. I was a freshman, but he was very small compared to me, but that's, I think, what made the scene so great, is that I was able to just play weak and let him intimidate me. It was fun. So in the future, I'd like to do a lot more, but yeah, typecasting, I mean, if you get paid well, why not?
I played the giant in Jack and the Beanstalk.
Oh, of course you did.
Because I was the tallest out of us there. Usually there's like a 6'3" or 6'4" kid.
Always super lanky homeschool kid.
But nope, he wasn't there, so I had to play the giant, and they had me in these stilts that I walked around on, and so my feet were where the knees were of the giant.
Classic.
And so I'm like 9 feet up in the air, and they've got whiskers glued. I didn't grow hair on my face at that time, they got whiskers glued to me.
Yeah.
I'm wearing this, look like Bluto, this, and it's all made of pantyhose material, the whole, so you're in it and you're just burning up.
Of course.
Burning up.
We got to play a good giant because you were pissed off.
Oh yeah, and
Not active.
got a lavalier mic on me from back then, and they weren't wireless. The school didn't have wireless, so the wire ran all the way out. It was the longest wireless mic, or longest lavalier mic I've ever seen, all the way out. So they came up with a great idea, so I could be on stage longer, so I didn't pass out, to run an air hose along that wire up into the thing. So my right leg's freezing, my right butt cheek's freezing, my
Left side.
my left side's burning up, and it was just trying to stay alive, and they like, whenever the kids, and to get the beanstalk to blow or to grow, they have the kids blow on it, and the kids are like, whew, and it grows, and stuff. And whenever I'm out there, they start dancing, they play this music, and it comes back, and I gotta go, I shake my booty, and the kids are just laughing and stuff. And
Jeez.
afterwards, they're like, hey, we'll get y'all to go out and visit with the kids.
No.
Man, they had me walk out. There had 5,000 kids screaming at the top of their lungs to get away from me.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the best shows, though.
Yeah.
There's so much heckling, but it's like the most positive, fun heckling. I think it's what Shakespeare really wanted.
Oh, yeah.
Middle school kids to scream at you while you perform stuff. There were so many times during Romeo and Juliet when I died and I drank it, and they were like, idiot, and they'd be like, what are you doing? Wake up! And they'd be like, call 911. And so I think that's what performance really is.
I think that going from Romeo and then being Tybalt, or Mercutio, and I feel my next performance will be great.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? Like in that dying moment, the macabre sense of making a joke,
Exactly.
And you see people do it in real life.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
100%.
I've seen
They
people
talk
do
about it, yeah.
in real life. So Mom started dancing with you when you were 6, and I want to go back to that real quick, because that's how I learned how to dance, was Urban Cowboy and the Babysitters.
Yeah.
We were like, and it was me, my brother, and my younger brother. So it was three little heathen children from Lord of the Flies.
Of course.
And the babysitter had to get us to behave.
Yeah.
So she taught us how to two-step.
Turns on that. Cool.
Yeah. And
Get those women on the screen too. I'd stare.
It was so funny because
Goodness.
we watched that. If we watched that movie once, we watched it a million times.
Who was your choice of ladies in Urban Cowboy? I think this says a lot about you.
Pam.
Pam?
She was Sissy, I don't know. Pam was.
I think Sissy was too to and fro.
Yeah.
As a man, just like smart, wisdom wise, I never would have chosen her. But also, Pam was just.
She was stunningly beautiful. She was like, I'm comfortable right here, right beside you, wherever you want to be.
And tell me if I'm wrong. She was also wealthy.
Yeah, she's wealthy, and she's like, I'll live in a trailer
park
park
with
with you.
She also wanted to be why would I ever say no?
Yeah.
I think John Travolta was just living in the past too much.
Yeah.
I think he was just too focused on rewarding his trauma, when in reality he should have just left her.
I would have, yeah.
Also, Sissy, what? This is just a bad relationship. She got beat by 2 men, and we went back to one of them. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
You're
how
like,
is this
what
okay?
the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
But I will tell you, I wasn't raised on Urban Cowboy.
You weren't?
Watched it for the first time 3 months ago, and what was hilarious was right before the final scene, they're doing they're getting prepped to bull ride, they're getting all hype and all this. There's montages, and one of them is showing everyone build up the tempo of the dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized, and what really solidified in my head, that I don't really need to listen to many people. you'll hear throughout this interview why that's not a cocky statement. I watched and I saw this one guy. He's in a red flannel. You'll see it when you watch it again. And he did a combo of 3 moves back to back to back. Those are the same 3 combos that I do.
Yeah.
I had never seen this movie
Big guy.
before,
He was
and it was
barrel-chested.
made. It was made in like 88.
Yeah.
Okay,
Back
that's the
then.
hustle era. We're coming out of there. How can someone born in '96, never seen a movie, do moves from that movie?
Yeah.
It's because it's traditional.
Yeah.
And I loved watching. I loved doing that. And yeah, I've only watched the full movie once, and that was at Pearl Saloon in Stockyard. So I didn't even really get to hear the volume. I just got to watch it and catch on to stuff.
And they filmed that after hours.
Yeah.
They filmed it after. So those people had probably been dancing all night. And those were just locals around the Houston area that did that all
But that's why I love stuff too about like club dance out of the 90s out of Nashville. They did club dance, and it was what Miss Tennessee would host it, and that's it. That's all they would tell you. Miss Tennessee's hosting it, and then everyone's invited. And it was just like a honky tonk
bunch of cameras panning around,
beautiful,
watching people
well done.
dance. Yeah,
and that's why I love going back and looking at that, because I'm like, I see so many people like that in Fort Worth.
Right.
And that's in the end. Skipping ahead a little story. Sorry, and the story is moving to Fort Worth. That's why I did it. Is because when I came out here, I saw people dancing the way I grew up dancing, and Dallas did not have that. Arkansas barely had it, and that's why I came out here. So, yeah, 6 years old, mom taught me. Grew up randomly going to dances and doing it. Went off to college, danced every now and then. Didn't really get to honky tonk because in Arkansas most of them were 21 plus or 18 plus, but I didn't want to go get shot, so I stayed away from those places. But summer camp is where I really picked up that momentum again, not just two-stepping, but I started teaching at summer camp when I was about 19 to 22, 23. We loved country dancing out in those summer camps, and we would all get on the gymnastic floor so everyone was safe to do throws, and we all danced progressively. It was a beautiful night every Tuesday night. And I'd always make deals with my my co-counselors of, you get this night and this night off, and I get Tuesday night. So I know you want to do it, but I'm going to go do Tuesday night, so I'll take 2 of your nights. And we call it being a single dad, as in I take care of the kids alone. But then Tuesday nights were mine. I went out, and we went out there. You get to dance with your camp crush. If not, you just get to dance with a bunch of great collegiate athletes and beautiful women that serve kids and aren't wearing makeup. And it was beautiful. We were all sweaty, no AC. It was great. And that's what really woke me up. And then I came to Dallas, moved to Dallas after college and a lot of things that just worked. And I moved to Dallas. And that is actually where I caught the bug, to be honest, was I started learning more dancing. And I saw how bad the honky tonks were. I saw the state of the honky tonk, and it was nothing like my mom raised me in.
No.
I knew coming to Texas, I was like, this is where the dancers are. And that is. Dallas has extremely skilled dancers. And none of this is gossip. I say this to everyone from there, and people know me as this person. But I came there, and no one was really dancing too progressively. We can get into like bar coast and stuff later, but there's just styles that weren't for the types of floors that were in Dallas. No one was dressed country. No one cared to listen to good country music. I felt very out of place. And coming as a generational farmer into Texas, where this is like the most country place, and going to a honky tonk, which should be the epitome of the grounds of country folk, right?
Right.
This should be the art and celebration of country folk. And I went in there and I felt out of place. And I just knew this was not okay. So I started Honky Tonk Traditions and caught the bug to learn waltz, polka, two-step, triple two, everything. I learned it all.
I'm glad that somebody's out there teaching it because, so for me as the DJ, that in case y'all didn't know, Hoots has hired me as the DJ. And on Friday and Saturday nights, first of all, Friday and Saturday nights are 2 different crowds.
It's huge.
Huge difference. And on Friday night, a lot of, at the early on part of the night, a lot of the older crowd, older than me. So I'm 50 years old, older than me comes in and they want West Coast swing. And they love West Coast swing.
Of course.
And I could get away with playing 15 of those songs right in a row if I wanted to, but they don't dance on every one.
No.
So I usually throw a West Coast swing in there, and then I throw something slow in there to let other people two-step and whatever they want to do, waltz, anything, try to get a waltz in there and stuff, and then throw another West Coast swing in there. And I run that for the crowd. But I have found that whenever the band goes off and the music comes on for the DJ, it is almost, they want a line dance. A lot of people want a line dance for every single song. And I'm like, first of all, there's not enough. There's not enough music to get a line dance that I could get an hour and a half of music out of. I'm gonna have to recycle songs if I do that. Second of all, I already played that song. And they're like, no, I'll give you $20 to play it again. I'm like, dude, that's horrible.
Yeah.
I can't cater to you. I mean, like, I'm gonna lose my job.
You gotta do it to everyone. And
I do it to everyone. So
line dancing definitely, there is, to be honest, I mean, now we have line dances to Michael Jackson. Like, we have line dances to everything. And so my big thing with art, and we've had this conversation before, art has a square when we make decisions. And the square is logic. The square says, can you or can't you? Mm-hmm. Should you or shouldn't you? And
it's almost like gaming theory.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Art does not have a can't. There's no can't in art. You can do whatever you want. Right. I mean, look at actual, like, physical art when it comes to paintings. You know, there's 1,000 different mediums. Mm-hmm. You know, you can paint on anything. Mm-hmm. Not just paint, but you can also do different styles of paints.
Sure.
You can also do sculpture. There's just 1,000 ways to do it, right? But there is a big thing with art, and it's shouldn'ts. Mm-hmm. Same thing with dance. It's a performance art. And can you do the dance to this? I can two-step to 50 Cent. I can two-step to Coldplay. I can two-step to Metallica, right?
Yeah.
Should I?
Right.
Probably not.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing I think people don't realize and care is we're so used to a nightclub mentality. And I'm glad you learned from your parents because dancing has skipped like 2 generations. So boomers kind of passed it on, but not really. Mm-hmm. And then the American dream really kicked off, and it wasn't about leisure. It wasn't about third places like honky tonks, because we have home, we have work, but you need third places. Right. And honky tonk kind of started dying out after the 90s, right? Mm-hmm. And that was also when Garth Brooks, which we can get into later, really changed music. And so, again, God love him. Like I think the world of him, but also if I had a conversation with him, I would not lie that I think he ruined honky tonks. Again, later on we can go into that, but in the idea of
it became more performance than it was dance.
It became radio.
It became radio. More for getting up on the stage and me doing a 1-hour show and making $1 bajillion
instead of getting on the floor.
Instead of getting people on the floor listening to your music over and over.
Exactly. And that's what I think with line dancing is we're in such the nightclub mentality, which is hilarious to me because they wouldn't do this in a nightclub. Mm-mm. That's what I always, with this logic of saying like, hey, I can play, T-Pain. I can play Pitbull. Should I? No.
Right.
But you know where they do play Pitbull is in nightclubs. Why don't you go dance there? Oh, well, we're not welcome there. I'm like, but you feel welcome here. Do you know why you feel welcome? It's called Southern hospitality.
Right.
Now, if you walk into my house with dirty boots and I tell you, go take your boots off, and you don't, you're kicked out, right?
Right.
Now, am I rude for doing that? No. But for some reason, we feel as though honky tonks, they're country nightclubs, right? And therefore, you should be able to do what you want. And that logic, though, won't carry over to, why don't you go to Dallas Blonde? Go to Deep Ellum. Go do what you're doing down there. See what happens. See how quickly you get, hopefully not physically attacked, but like, you're not going to make it. You're not going to survive the night. And it's not the environment you want.
Right.
You're taking advantage of hospitality and you're appropriating the culture, which is why, like you're saying, it's great to have line dancing. Yeah. It's from the honky tonk. It's from the disco and the hustle area. That's fantastic. However, when it becomes the primary thing, when it comes to entree, when I hear, oh, it's a line dancing bar, I'm like, what does that mean?
Right.
We're not here to line dance. We're here to partner dance. Line dancing gives partner dances a break. Right. And it gives singles an opportunity to get out there and dance alone.
Yep.
Or just to enjoy the song.
Yep.
But we have so many new songs that people don't listen to because they don't listen to country. And they would rather choreograph a line dance to Michael Jackson.
Right.
Michael Jackson already has choreography. It's called the moonwalk.
Right.
Like, it's probably 1,000 others.
Well, the Thriller, the dance, we learned those moves when we were in school.
But no one would look at Thriller and think that's country.
No.
However, we create right now a pretty young thing. There's a line dance that is going crazy right now. Bro, I just want to moonwalk. I want to hit on my toes, and I want to, I want to do that stuff. But the fact is, now the whole floor is filled with 30 people who are doing the same thing. It's like, what are you expressing about Michael Jackson? Right. If anything, you're not creative.
I like, I like the old school of, I remember that they would play, say they'd start off with some rock, they would slow it down to maybe something that was about 170, 160 beats a minute, I don't know. So it's kind of like a West Coast swing. Mm-hmm. And then they would drop it down to where people were doing a 3-step, a waltz or something like that. And then I got my, Some Fools Never Learn by Steve Wariner. Yeah. Got to rub up close to a beautiful woman. And that's the last real possibility as a man to take a woman by the hand lead her out on the dance floor and lead her and dance with her like it's the only dance you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. And I've dated people in the past where they're like, I know how this song has to be danced to. You need to follow me. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. It's just not going to work because you can go dance with some other dude. You can drag around that dance floor throughout the night because I'm in charge when we're out here. This is it. This is the only time I'm a male chauvinist pig is whenever I want to hold you close and dance with you. And I don't really consider that being a male chauvinist. I consider that just being a man.
Well, it expresses who you are.
Right.
It expresses who you are because, again, you're saying you have the opportunity to speak.
Sure.
And again, yeah, you could get right now, I hear so many guys when I teach lessons, they try to take my teachings a little further and they're like, yeah, in this day and age, like, everyone hates men. And I'm like, no, I'm not going that far. But it's a fact of right now, I think the world realizes the roles. Mm-hmm. And I do love the fact that we are empowering women to take those roles and show them they have that strength.
I have no problem with it.
Of course. However, there are places, and it's, again, the question of why or should, you know? If there's something heavy to lift, should my sister could have this whole conversation on the farm when we had hay bales. Mm-hmm. Should she lift hay bales?
Right.
She can. Mm-hmm. Should she if I'm around? No.
Right.
I'm going to do that for her. She's going to do better at saving her energy to organize everything. Be admin, you know? Right. Hey, we got this much. We only got 3 hours left, blah, 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 blah. And guess what? The brothers, me and Isaiah, knock it all out. That's what we do. Same thing on the floor. Can I spin better than a lot of women in here? Probably. Should I be the one being spun?
No.
Probably not. because I am not graceful as a woman is. I'm not beautiful as a woman is. I am not feminine as a woman is. And so when you get on that floor, you get to have a conversation. That's all dancing is a conversation. And in country dance, unlike West Coast swing, they say it's like, oh, well, you get to talk and then she gets to talk. And I'm like, okay, well, when is she done talking? When am I done talking? What if she interrupts me? I don't like that. I love country dance, traditional country dance, even Western swing, not West Coast swing, Western swing, because it allows the man, like you're saying, to prove himself.
Sure.
I got 3 minutes. Let me show you who I am.
Right.
So the way I support her back, the way I look her on the floor and make sure she doesn't run, the way I adapt to her, because again, when I get an 80-year-old lady out there, I'm not going to be throwing the same moves that I throw at the 20-year-old girl. Is that because I disrespect the 80-year-old lady and I doubt her skills? No, it's called being smart. Because there are some 80-year-olds I've danced with and they can keep up with whatever I do. But I've also known people that they have bad backs and I dip them and I hear, oh, and I'm like, oh, well, you should have told me. Like, please tell me before. Yeah, please tell me beforehand. And you get those 3 minutes to talk, and your job as a lead is to talk about her. We had that conversation. Talk about your follow. Because never, ever have I met a follow that says, oh, well, he walked me on the floor, he was on beat, and he took care of me out there, and I laughed, and then he walked me off the floor. I don't know if I want to dance with him again. I've never heard that.
Never heard those words.
No.
He comes back around, I'm going to go out there on that dance floor with him.
I have heard he yanked me. He showed off. He tried a move I wasn't ready for. I told him no. There's a lot of things you can do as a lead to mess up, but if you just focus on the basics and keep it simple, it's a beautiful conversation. And there's no romance involved. It's called intimacy. And that's a thing I think in our generation, which we can talk about later, dance can save us. Dance has so many parts that can save us. And one of the big things is intimacy. Everyone's looking to be known and be felt and be understood. Everyone. And we don't have any outlets to find that. We're also a very cynical society that wants to look for, oh, well, I like waffles. Oh, so you hate pancakes? It's like, okay, not what I said.
Yeah.
You're not seeking to understand me. I said I love waffles, you know?
They're reading into what you're saying whenever they should be listening to what you're saying.
Exactly, and that's the point is we all gotta be able to hear each other and learn each other, and dancing provides a safe middle ground for all of us where women can feel comfortable around a large man like me to know I'm not here to date you. I'm not here to make moves. I'm here to dance.
Right.
And you are very easy to look at, and even if you're not, I saw how you danced. And I want to just experience this song with you. Will you allow that? Yes? Okay, now let's see how we connect. And there's so many great connections I've made with people that aren't romantic. We still talk, and there's no need to make it deeper than it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Just good friends that like to dance with each other.
It's a dance partner.
Yeah.
And you're just sharing a dance. And like you said, it might be the last dance.
Right.
Which I try to teach people, last dances are important.
Right.
Why is the last dance so important? Well, I might drive from the honky tonk and I might die.
Right. And you're the last person.
That's very dark. But
no, but it's true.
But that gal might have had my last dance.
What about the girl that you just met who it might be your last first dance with someone?
Exactly.
You might be dancing with that person for the rest of your life, and you'll always remember that song. You'll always remember where it started. You'll always know where it took place, you'll have that memory forever. You'll
Yeah.
drive by a building and go,
I remember
that's
dancing
the
with
bar where I met your mother.
Exactly.
That's the bar where I danced with your mother the first time.
I don't
Been
think
with
it's
her
a
ever
problem.
since.
Yeah, I don't
you
think it's a
know?
problem for you to dance with my significant other or vice
Nope.
versa. However, if you don't give your last dance to your significant other, I think that's an insult to them.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
so that's where I think there's little form of culture that we have here, and that's a big thing too that we could go into later. Of country's the last living cultural dance.
Oh, yeah.
You look at Hispanic, like Latin dancing, they're all repeating history. Any new
Mm-hmm.
style they create, like in bachata, they always say it's like very sensual, or they say freestyle or street. Those
Mm-hmm.
are the new styles. But bachata, traditional bachata, you have to do that in a certain wear. You have to do those things, and you don't see people walking around in those big flowery dresses, or the guys in their, like the bullfighting looking outfits. They don't wear that going to the club.
No.
That'd be foolish. It's too
No.
hot. It's not there. It's also
That's
just out
for
of
the
place.
dance, for the place that it's at
But-
the time.
Wearing overalls, wearing cowboy boots, wearing cowboy hats, until farmers and ranchers die out, which hopefully isn't soon, we are living the culture.
Yep.
And I'm big on, I would rather see people dress up in flannels and Keith Urban black straw hats that I would know you're not a cowboy,
Yeah.
but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I see more appropriation in the fact that people call themselves country dancers,
Mm-hmm.
and they're the farthest thing from
Well,
country.
there's a TV show called The Watchmen. I don't know if you ever seen
Yes.
it, but in the very end, one of the guys, his nemesis, asked him, "Did I ever earn it? Was I really your nemesis? Was I a bad guy?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "No, you played really hard at it, but you never were."
Yep.
And that's kind of like with a lot of people, that things that I've dealt with in where I have to explain to somebody, look, what you're doing, you're trying really, really hard, and I appreciate it, but you don't have to try that hard. It'll come natural if you just kind of stick around for a little bit and watch
Exactly.
what we do. You'll see what it's like. My friend comes down from California. He's like, I need some boots. I got to get a hat. I want to get those big, huge bell buckles, like one welded together out of quarters. And I was like, look, 1985 called.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that still does that. I mean, I can get you a belt buckle. I can get you a tombstone for your belly if you want. That's fine.
Yeah.
But all that other stuff, that's stuff from back in the day. You've been
Yeah.
watching too much TV.
Yeah, I do love. I'm seeing. I was talking about Urban Cowboy. I am seeing pins come back.
Yes.
I've never seen like actual cowboys wear those, but I am seeing pins come back. And again, to me, I'm like, I think that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't wear belt buckles because I was raised in the culture and I feel I need to earn it.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't have an issue with people wearing them. I just have an issue with people trying to play them down.
Sure.
I don't know if you know this, but in a lot of dance competitions, and by a lot I mean the majority, they hand out belt buckles.
Right.
And my issue with that is that if we're competing to songs, from Chris Lane or a poppy Morgan Wallen song or Nelly. I've competed to Nelly before I've competed to George Strait, Alan Jackson, George Jones, Garth Brooks. Anyway, I've never competed to classic country. I've competed at Nelly though.
Mm-hmm.
If we compete to those types of music though, why are we handing out belt buckles? Because a lot of dancers will always tell me, oh, belt buckles don't matter, John. Like we do it for the dance, we do it for skill. And I'm like, the first thing that you're going to talk about when I try to argue with you is the fact that you have belt buckles and I don't. Don't try to play that. Because
Right.
Cowboys do the same thing.
Sure.
You can win a regional belt buckle. However, when you go against a guy that is in the NFR, like, he outweighs your belt buckle. So you can say whatever you like, but if he doesn't agree with you, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. He's going to outspeak you, and what your opinion said is gone.
Right.
It doesn't matter anymore. And so I'm big on not wearing a belt buckle. However, I do see people in belt buckles that I know they didn't earn it, and I'm like, that's fine. I also know, like your buddy, we know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not going to look to you for certain things. And I think that was a big transition with Honky Tonk Traditions, was going from seeing those California guys, seeing those guys from the city slickers who put cowboy in their name,
Right.
who claim this stuff, but then argue with me about it when I'm definitely right. Because again, nothing I teach is John Carter's.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think, wow, dude, how did you come up with all this? You're revolutionary. And I'm like, no, I'm teaching what your mom knows. I'm teaching what your dad knows. And that's why they relate
Exactly.
to me. I'm not teaching anything new. I'm teaching actually the old stuff. I'm just doing it in a youthful way,
Yeah.
And the
Man,
fact
it's
of the
good
matter,
to talk to someone who talks.
Yeah.
But we've got to take a break. I'm sorry, y'all. When I get with someone who talks, this is what happened with 7-6 Band. We got in there,
Yeah.
and we didn't even take a break because we get to talk, and I'm
mean,
like,
it's a
dude,
good
this is going to go by.
transitional spot, yeah.
This is a good transitional spot. We're going to pause right here for a minute, and we'll come back to everybody in just a second.
Custom Sheds by Keith builds custom sheds, decks, backyard offices, and tiny houses. Built with quality and pride. Custom Sheds by Keith builds every building custom on site using skilled carpenters. Call us today for a free quote and site visit. Custom Sheds by Keith, built like a house, not like a shed.
And we're back. We just covered where we've been. We've covered the history of you and dance and how it led to you and the history of what you're doing.
Of course.
Now we want to jump into where you're going. What's the plan for the future?
Yeah.
What is John Carter and Honky Tonk Traditions? What is Honky Tonk Traditions here for?
Of course.
I guess.
Of course. Yeah. We recently just kind of rebranded, kind of where we ended. Of instead of trying to educate these cowboys who only want to claim cowboys when they get paid to do it, just appropriating. Instead of trying to educate and correct them, we kind of turned our eyes to look more towards showing the positive sides and the beauty in country dance, and not really caring about anyone else's opinion. We're going to look to ourselves. And so Honky Tonk Traditions, think of it as an overarching theme, like something like the NFL. Well, our goal is to create as many chapters around the U.S. as we can that are exemplifying Honky Tonk Traditions and creating safe places and taking care of their city so that grand folk feel comfortable to come back. That's why right now, like teams like the Fort Worth Wranglers, we called ourselves the Wranglers because that team's job is to be the flagship, the first of its kind, to go out like Wranglers do, like actual cowboys, Wranglers, and go get the ones who have left the herd because they didn't feel like me, they didn't feel they had a place. And so once we get those back into the honky tonk and we get the honky tonk headed in the right direction, who knows where we stop? We're looking at a country renaissance right now. I think starting back in about 2016, Sturgill Simpson, Tyler Childers really started a new influx of independent country. And now even Nashville picking up people like Zach Bryan, of course not the most country guy, but a huge step from coming out of bro country, pop country, boyfriend country. And we still have that, but even city folk are not looking to pop country. They still love it. It's summer. We love those songs, right? But no one's looking to that. And so what we're offering, that renaissance, this musical renaissance, which you know about, we're offering these guys dancers.
Right.
We're saying, thank you for dropping a waltz. Let me show you how to do a waltz to it. So you can enjoy playing the song, and we're going to show you how to dance to it. And that's what those chapters are doing, is honky tonks all over the U.S., all over the world. We're trying to get a group of people that when you hear Honky Tonk Traditions is coming to that honky tonk, I want to go dancing there because that's where country dancing is.
Right. He's going to teach us. He's going to show us. He's going to talk about the history. He's going to
work
with it. Yeah, it's
exactly.
going to be.
Because I'm not. To be honest, I don't want to make lessons, and I've never had a goal of making lessons a full-time job.
No.
Because I think when your focus is just on doing lessons, making money, I don't care about if you learn. If you and I have 45 minutes right now to go learn, well, guess what? At 45 minutes, you're done. 45 minutes is over. I got to get to my next customer, man.
Right.
Because if I don't, I'm not going to make rent. I don't want that. I'd rather take a little time set aside, and most of our private lessons that are supposed to be paid for 45 minutes go about 2 hours because we want to make sure you learn, and we also have fun connecting with you, and that's what a honky tonk was for. That's what I learned is connection, personal connection.
I found, and going back to traditional honky tonks, I have found so I own 20 acres way out in the country, like 21 acres. We call it the ranch. It's not anything but a tree. I mean, it's just a bunch of woods. That's where Bigfoot lives, is where I own this land.
I don't live out there. But.
Right. We're cleaning it up and getting it done, and slowly but surely, and there is a little local pub right down the road. It's a little honky tonk. It's small, but it has enough room to where you could maybe dance a little, and they move the floor around for whenever they have a live performer. And it's funny because a lot of people have been a part of that big flight to Texas,
of course,
because of tax reasons, and they want to go from farm to fork. And I respect that. I totally understand. And you got to start somewhere. If your parents didn't raise you doing that, and you go take a class. There's people that teach that, just like you teach dance lessons, flying lessons, driving lessons. There's people that teach you how to farm and how to ranch. And I've seen a lot of that. And I've told my neighbors, well, come with me to this little place. And they're like, look, man, we're from California. We get crap from people. And I'm like, yeah, you probably get a joke or two, but then people realize what you're here for.
Exactly.
You're here trying to go from farm to fork. That's what all they do. And this is how you network. This is how, and that's what the original barn dances, the original fairs, the festivals, the little, local things, because bars traditionally back in the Old West, women weren't allowed in them. That was, the brothel was the other side that the women went into of ill repute, and normal women went to church or nothing else. They didn't go into bars. And as we evolved into a society where you want to dance, the old sock hops back in the day, the old barn dances, the things that took off and carried on. So I tell people all the time, that I don't go there to get drunk.
No.
I don't even get drunk. I don't go there. I mean, like the one that I go to in the country, it is you have to bring your own liquor in there, or it's just beer only. It's an ice house.
Smart.
And so, if you don't bring whiskey with you, then you're not gonna. So there's a lot of guys who are like, I don't drink whiskey, so I just drink beer. So they won't even take a touch of it because they're like, ranchers got to get up early in the morning, don't want to be hungover.
Of course.
I can drink 3 or 4 beers, I can't drink 3 or 4 whiskeys, and stuff. And so it's a different mentality. I love the networking that's going on just since I've seen you here. I've seen faces. I come in, and since we went non-smoking, since Hoots went non-smoking, the faces that are coming in, the people who even reach out to me and say, hey, I would like to come do an interview. And I'm like, well, you're not Hoots reference material yet. I understand that you want to come and plug your brand and your image,
Of course.
but you're not Hoots reference material.
What separates you from everyone else? What do you stand for?
Right. Come out and socialize with us at the bar and let me build that talk that we can come up with, that we can discuss about what brings you on. And it'd be great to get you on an interview and say, hey, I'm a health nut. I was never going to come in here when it was smoking. Well, now it's non-smoking. I can come in here and get my cardio on. Now that I can make reference.
Yeah, exactly.
To
what separates you from everyone else?
Right.
And that's what I think is also huge about Honky Tonk Traditions. And again, I say Honky Tonk Traditions and not John Carter because I try to keep my name out as much as I can. Recently I had to get verified on Instagram, so I had to put my name out there. And a lot of people were surprised to know my name after 2 years because most people called me Honky. And that's why even my nickname is The Last Honky, because anyone younger than 65 is not doing what I'm doing. No one is doing what I'm doing because we're not just dancers. And that's what I always teach our chapters is you're not just a dancer. You're an agrarian enthusiast. And if you don't care about that, then we need to talk about what you're doing here, because if we were just dancers, we're gonna get beat, because that's just skill. And no matter what you do, look at every trailblazer in every vicinity of their sports, of their business, everything. You start out great, and if that's all you have to offer, you will get beat in the next 5 years if you're lucky. 5. 2 really.
Maybe you'll go out on top if you die.
The
good ones die young. Buddy Holly is a good example. A friend of mine's like mother or grandmother or something, maybe it was her aunt, she was best friends with like Buddy Holly's little sister. She would go over to Buddy Holly's house, and she said he was weird as hell. He was always in his room playing the guitar and just didn't know anything about it. But then went on to make great music, was amazing, died in an airplane crash at a young age. So
all creators are weird, to be honest. Most creators are weird. To have a social butterfly that's a creator, or to have someone who can have good social skills, it's weird to have. But that's, as a creator in dance, what we've realized is that we try to do every avenue we can. We try to support, FFA, 4-H. We try to promote any agrarian news, just agrarian folk as a whole. And the thing is with culture, there's so many vicinities to culture. We just do dance, but there's also music. So we get to talk to great people like, I get to hang out with Braxton Keith and Zach Top, hanging out with people like JD Clayton and Matt Daniel. Like, to be able to be around other creators that are so talented at what they do while just getting to be a dancer, but also meet in the middle of being country boys. It's fantastic. It's the best. And we also look at things like fashion. We are in every, Honky Tonk Traditions wants to be in every avenue that supports agrarian folk and to be the headline of that. So again, all you need is Honky Tonk Traditions everywhere we go. And I think it's also important to tell people that a honky tonk is different than everything else, because if we go to a saloon, there's just drinking. There can be dancing, but if I hear the word saloon, I'm not thinking dancing.
Right.
I hear drinking.
Right.
Okay, that's why on the stockyards, most places you go, old school Western, the saloons are like a closet. You just walk in, slide, find a seat, go. It's also, they'll play country music. They don't have to play honky tonk music.
Mm-hmm.
They can play super slow George Jones music, right? Mm-hmm. Heartbreaking, tears in your beers type music that you can't two-step to, you can't waltz to, you can't trip, you can't do any type of dancing, right? Mm-hmm. They can play that. We can't, because you have to keep people dancing, right? Dance halls are on the opposite end. Dance halls are focused on dancing, like the ones where you don't have to, like, they don't have to sell beer.
Yeah.
Most of them, most dance halls, especially I don't know if you know this, Utah is exploding with country dance because they just have 1,000 dance halls.
Yep.
People, if they want, which most don't because they're all Mormon, will drink out in their car and they come in and they dance.
Yep.
So they don't have to have a drink.
Very strict laws in alcohol consumption in a bar.
There you go. Yeah.
They're very strict
However,
laws.
honky tonk. We want to fight to make honky tonks honky tonk, because if I show up in your town and you say, oh, there's this honky tonk and it's a saloon, you're gonna piss me off.
Right.
Because I came here to dance. You made me think, I had expectations and you failed them because of semantics. And again, in this day and age, semantics is nothing, but it's also everything.
But I do have to do that with people that do come in from out of town. A lot of my friends from the military come in from all over. I want to go to a country bar. Well, hold on. Do you want to go to a country bar, or you want to go to an old school honky tonk?
Exactly. Do you want to go to a country rave, I call it now? Do you want to go listen to Morgan Wallen and thumping music and just loud, like nightclub type country, or do you want? Yeah. Or do you want to?
I love Morgan Wallen. Don't get me wrong. I love Morgan Wallen's music.
For him, but
I think there's certain songs of his that I really like.
Yeah.
You know,
very few. If you just go that direction.
Keith Urban. There's one song of Keith Urban's that is just an amazing song to me. It's awesome. But there's 15 others I turn the channel whenever it comes on. You
100%.
know. It's just the mood that you're in at the time, you know. And cowboys, before they go get on a bull, they're not listening to George Strait. They're not listening to George Jones. They're listening to AC/DC. They're listening to Aerosmith. They're listening to something.
I mean, they might listen to like Cross Canadian Ragweed.
Yeah, something that gets their blood up.
But it's still though, and that's the thing too, is the connection between rock and country. There's a huge connection. And that's a lot of people think me gatekeep.
Right.
They think we're here to tell you you can't listen to AC/DC. You got to be purist. That's not the case. You know, it's to tell people, one, if you're a cowboy, no one's policing you.
Right, you get to do whatever you want.
Who could?
Who could?
Also, if you come up to me and tell me I can't wear overalls or that's not country enough, I literally wouldn't care what you have to say.
Right.
Because you can't tell me what I am and what I'm not. I am country. I could wear a tutu and a crop top.
Right.
And I can make that country. And that's also the kind of goal. That's why I wear this, is because you can't tell me how to teach.
Man, let me tell you something. When you get in trouble on the ranch, or you break a bet, or you do something wrong, it is not uncommon to see a guy riding on the back of a horse with a tutu on, or, Darth Vader mask or something. He done something stupid.
It's
you got to wear this
embarrassing
the
within
whole
our
day.
cowboy group, but that's, again, a lot of people think we're trying to police fun and tell them, but it's like, again, if we kind of like what you're saying about like old school honky tonks, or listen to that type of stuff, if we only make a honky tonk AC/DC, well then who's listening to George Jones? Who's listening to those things? That's not to say we can't play AC/DC in a honky tonk. It's just like, if all we do is AC/DC, then if all we do is Pitbull, if all we do is that pop, Keith Urban, Morgan Wallen, where do the Cowboys go?
Yeah.
Where do those guys go? And that's the question I always ask. If I wear this, do the Cowboys feel comfortable to approach me? If I talk this way, do they feel comfortable to approach me? And the case is, I've never had anyone not comfortable to approach me.
Well, I get to point something out about the both of us.
Come on.
What y'all see and hear right now is really us. This is not for the camera. This is how you always are.
Always.
I am always upbeat, friendly, talking to everyone. I don't know a stranger. It doesn't bother me to talk to anyone.
Exactly.
I've actually walked up and talked to people and didn't know they were in the middle of an argument, had to walk away going, sorry, I'll talk to y'all some other time.
Yeah.
They don't even remember they were mad. And later on, they're like, did we get mad at you? No, y'all were mad at each other, and I walked up. So, I mean, this is us. This is what we do. This is the friendly atmosphere you run into. The girls have worked extremely hard. The management team here, everyone has worked extremely hard to
You can tell.
take care of problems early on.
Yeah.
So I don't ever see anything, and as the DJ, because I'm dressed something similar to this, I don't interfere with anything because I don't have a Hoots shirt on. Somebody will think I'm just
well,
some
I'm about
random
to jump on the
dude.
security team. So
Yeah, you
yeah,
are?
we
There
do.
you
Yeah.
go.
So and that's why I'm coming on is the fact of we do take care of things early, and no one is seeking any type of problem and any type of honky tonk, and honky tonks get rowdy. But that's why we teach. The first thing I was always taught, what separated my dancing from everyone else's, was etiquette.
Yes.
Forget style. I was not educated enough. I, in the end, studied for a year music theory, dance theory, history, tradition, culture, everything, and I learned a lot. But the first thing I focused on was etiquette, because at places like, we won't name them, we won't name drop, but there's places around Dallas, where, most everywhere in Dallas, where people won't care about lanes. They will dance backwards. They also just stop where they're at. They also don't dance to the music. So some will go fast or slow. It's like DFW traffic. One guy's going 60, one guy's going 90. The problem is not that one guy's going 90 and one guy's going 60. It's that they're both on the same road. I don't care if you go 60 and an 80 and you go 180. The problem is you're both in the same road, and I can't determine where I need to be.
Right.
So getting out on this floor, having etiquette and being smart was the fact of, if I came to the stockyards and I bumped into a cowboy and we hit each other's hats and maybe my hat fell off, I could look up and there's just a connection between country and western folk, or just agrarian folk, where you make that eye contact and you can tell we're good.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oops. Ouch.
yeah,
Sorry.
you got. And most of the time we'd go buy a beer, and what's funny is you'd think we would fight. Most city folk would look at how strong we stand, and it'd be like, oh, they're about to fight, but like him and I, we're chill, we're cool. However, when I was in a lot of those bars and I would bounce into another guy, and he wouldn't look at me a certain way, or he would try to blame me, you have to fight at that point.
Right.
So that's, honky tonks are rowdy, but it's a controlled chaos. It's not chaotic. It's not like you see a lot of those times in the like Roadhouse.
Yeah.
It's not just guys slamming bottles and stabbing and getting thrown out. No. Honky tonks are, when that does happen, everyone spreads out, we control, everyone takes care of it. Who needs to be thrown out? Do we need to be thrown out? Because that's the thing too, I've seen guys get bloody, and they get pulled outside, they get cleaned up, and they talk, and they realize it was a huge misunderstanding, and also because of their character and knowing them, they say, okay, this isn't gonna be an issue after this. Go back in. Don't do it again. Because if you do it again, cops are getting called, right?
Yeah.
No one wants cops.
99.99% of the time, it's ego. It's something
100%.
stupid. And the 0.001 that it's something else.
It's alcohol.
Yeah.
Or
And it
women.
Yeah, and it needed to be. Now I will say, working as a bouncer in my past and dealing with situations, and I would rather deal with 6'6" guys than 2 women.
No,
because you can lose 100%. An eye. You
don't know what's going to happen.
You have no idea, and they're going for the jugular.
Oh, 100%. I've asked people to step off the floor, groups of people, like taking up an entire floor, and I just point at signs like, hey, can't sit on the floor, let's go off. And I've had the woman approach me after, and she said, what's your problem? What's your problem? And then all of a sudden, because she stepped up, 6 other guys walk up, and big boys, and I'm sitting there, and of course, playing rugby, semi-pro rugby, I fear people.
Yeah.
I will not show fear to anyone, because I know I've been hit before. It doesn't scare me.
Right.
It's the fact of I know what's about to happen, and so I accept the situation. And what's funny is, those guys, as soon as we have a conversation, I'm like, hey, blah blah blah, this is what happened. It's not going to happen again. All of a sudden, the guy's eyes go.
That's what it was.
We connect. We have a good time. But her, she's still pissed, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with you.
Right.
And then like you said, I have to watch my back.
Right.
Is she going to come up and tase me? Is she going to stab me? Is she going to bust a bottle over my head? I never know what's going to happen. With guys, it's pretty clear. You stare me down, you approach me, we swing. Her?
The last beer bottle I saw broken over someone's head or hit someone was done by a woman. It wasn't here, but the last beer bottle I saw actually strike somebody was a woman.
They don't know their strength.
Struck somebody.
They're strong, and they don't understand it.
Oh yeah. And I've seen, and for me, just to jump on the bandwagon of fighting and stuff, I've seen what one human being can do to another.
Oh yeah.
And I've been a part of something, where something got hurt. Someone got hurt really bad, and I wasn't trying to hurt them that bad. And I felt bad about it, afterwards. And so my part of retiring from the military and going to the VA and getting help and trying to get, everything documented for PTSD and traumatic brain injury. So you have to go through these things. And one of the things that the instructor said is, he goes, you have to just make a promise that you won't do that kind of harm anymore. If you have to break something up, you break it up. But it's kind of like hockey, you let them hit the ground, and then you grab them and go, hey, guys,
Well,
break
it's
it up.
control.
You
It's
know?
about
Yeah,
respect.
control.
Well, why did you fight?
Right.
The only reason I ever fight is because of respect.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. And to be
Fear.
honest,
Can't get out of it.
Well, defense, and that's
Yeah,
again, you
defense.
didn't respect me.
Yeah,
You stepped across.
You
and
stepped
crossed the
across.
line.
Yeah.
And that's what I've loved about playing rugby is the fact of you don't see many fights in rugby. One, the punishment is heavy, but why, if I am literally skin to skin knocking the crap out of you, do I feel the need to throw a punch?
Right.
No, what I do is I shake your hand, I smile because you know I have something coming for you.
Oh, it's coming.
And I meet you because why would I fight you? I get to fight you on a field safely.
Right.
There's rules, there's boundaries, like I'm saying, there's respect, there's etiquette. Even in a fight, like man to man, there's etiquette. And these days, it's rare to find, and that's why, again, I think dance provides a lot of culture to the U.S. Just learning how to hold a woman, learning how to approach a man, learning how to do all these things. We could learn a lot from just dancing. And that sounds super feminine, but I think a lot of cowboys are scared to approach dance a certain way, which is where we got country swing. Country swing is a rodeo style that people didn't want to learn two-step, they didn't want to learn waltz, they didn't want to learn that because it's kind of feminine.
But God, getting the phone out of somebody's hand so you can get them out there on the dance floor. Like that's your biggest battle, right? Getting between her and the phone, because she's TikToking and Instagramming and tweeting and whatever it is. You know,
I promise you, if I ever open up a honky tonk, we're gonna have a '90s night. I pitched that to you, I already did. We're gonna do like concerts. You seal up your phone, you put it in your pocket, and you don't get to use it.
Yeah.
And you'll get a band, maybe 15% off your drinks or something. And if you steal those ideas, honestly, I'm okay with it because I want to see it. I want to see it happen earlier.
Yeah.
And,
I'm not stealing those ideas. Somebody
else.
else.
Someone listening to this, someone who has a honky tonk might do it. And I would love to have a '90s night where we it's like a flashback. Bring in the old ladies, bring in these young college students, and let them mix. Because I didn't even finish that. Of honky tonks are a middle ground, like you were saying. You're out in the middle of nowhere. But that honky tonk is meant for your California buddies to be able to have a taste of what country is.
Yes.
They don't get to go work the fields yet. But again, think about it these days. You can't have barn dances.
No.
Insurance is way too high to have more than 20 people. And if you don't have more than 20 people, it's not that fun.
Right.
So all you get to do is dance with your cousin or your mom or your sister. And guess what? I got really good at dancing with them, right?
Yeah.
However,
I want to share it with someone else.
yeah, exactly. And so you can't have that, like, you can't take your city friends out to the barn and have an actual barn dance like we used to in the day. So the honky tonk is a meeting place. Now, we go back to cowboys, like you were saying, brothels, where we, like, cowboys two-stepped since 1910s, 1920s, but this style of honky tonk didn't come around to the 50s.
No.
And Gillies is the one that popularized it.
Right.
You know, Urban Cowboys is the one that popularized it. And people try to tell me, oh, well, from Urban Cowboys where we got everything. And I said, first of all, that's insanely disrespectful.
Yeah,
We've been dancing like this for 100 years.
Yeah.
Don't try to give credit where credit is not due. They popularized what was already there.
Yeah, there were other dances that people did in the 1800s. There were other things, but this form of dance where you're actually embracing someone forward and touching them and chest to chest, that would have been unheard of in the 1800s.
And these days,
and
exactly. That's why I teach
now
them. And these days it's pretty normal, but even these days we're starting to get, like, you go to England, they don't do that. I talk to a lot of my friends who are English, they don't do that. A lot of other places don't dance that way. But another thing of why dancing is so important is today we have a huge issue. A lot of times, you know, they try to throw race at us. They try to throw demographics in the sense of, like, where we live at us. But the one thing they always want us to ignore is money.
Right.
And right now, everyone's starting to realize that elitism is a big deal.
Right.
Do you know how dancing fights elitism? It's exactly what you just said. Before 1880, before cowboys, we didn't have electricity.
Right.
So when the sun went down, farmers went down. Okay, and you even said it about drinking. Farmers are not going to stay up to dance when they have to get up at 4 a.m. to go work.
No.
Okay, so who were the people dancing, partner dancing?
It was the
rich
elite.
The elites, the ones who had time, who had the money, and the ability to get music in there to dance. So they had the places, they had the music, they had the lighting to be able to do that. They had the servants, and they didn't have to work the next day. Even look at classic timepiece period movies like Pride and Prejudice. They dance all night and they leave when the sun comes up.
Right.
Farmers are getting out there working. They can't do that. And so barn dances, square dances have been happening since the 1600s. And a lot of people nowadays get confused because you search on Wikipedia, what is country dance or the history? They'll say English.
Right.
1600, that is not the same.
No.
Honky tonking did not come from English farmers. Square dancing came from them. So like what you see of the picnic like looking dresses that the girls wear and like that came from them 100%. But that's very even niche. Early 1900s, that was very niche. That was not like cool to do. And even like like 70s, it kind of made a comeback, right? Like 70s, 80s, it kind of made a comeback. But
I
like,
remember my aunts and uncles going to square dance lessons in the 70s and 80s.
It was just kind of like line dancing, which is where line dancing did get popular, is because disco came around and fast rock. And then we already had square dancing, boom, line dancing came. All that to say, it allowed us to show honky tonking that it doesn't matter your race, it doesn't matter your ethnicity, it doesn't matter your class, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. When you come in here with respect, and you come in here to have fun.
Yeah.
If you disrespect anyone else's fun, or you step on any of their toes and you don't apologize, we will make sure you understand what we do around here.
Yeah. And you have to leave.
Yes.
But we've seen so many, just since I've been working here, so many people have come up to me and said, hey, I appreciate this, I appreciate that. And I'm like, you're welcome. Go tell them.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have anything to do with it, but I was the DJ, so that was the, oh, here, that's who you want to talk to over there, and tell them your stuff. People are, it's coming around. It is. It's getting better. It's getting back to the way, I mean, obviously, I know that line dances, I know everyone's going to want one. They try on the first break. We tried on the first break not to play a bunch of them, solely because people aren't here yet on the first break a lot of times. The band plays, then we have our first break, and then we see an influx of more people show up.
Of course.
And when we see more people show up, then I'm like, okay, then I can play those line dances and get a little bit of a break and go to the restroom and stuff like that. But there's so many moving parts behind the scenes that people don't realize. Bryce is back there working audio for the band. I have to leave this station, go over there with him, and we're watching. And so there's a lot going on, and then you come back over and you're just flooded with, I want this song, I want that song. And man, how they spell the names of these bands that people are requesting.
Yeah.
Was it?
Just open your Spotify and look at
K Wang or something like that. K Wayne or something like that. It was one of them that they wanted a line dance to.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
And I'm like spelling out K-A-Y, then space, then W-A-Y-N-E, and stuff. They're like, no, it's K Wang. It's K-W-A-N-G or something. I'm like, what the hell, man?
See, and that's the thing too, is that's what I don't like, is line dancing also gets very villainized by a lot of these old geezers, and I've had guys come shake my hand about being like, hey, thank you so much for bringing back traditional dancing. Like, we don't want line dancing here, and I'll just like take my hand back, because I'm not here to kick line dancers out.
No.
I'm here to show the better alternative. And right now we do a lot of hip hop dancing, and yeah, Cupid Shuffle's fun. Okay, but all you do is Cupid Shuffle, you look forward to a 4 count, you're so much better than that.
Right.
And then you look at someone doing Footloose and you're like, oh, that's too much. It's because you're not taking the time to learn it.
Yeah.
Because if we truly look at it, Catalan line dancing, which is the traditional country line dance, where tucked hand, white belt, white hat, white boots, it's done in Europe and Canada more than it's done here. And that's traditional country, where we stomp, step, slide, jump. Like, it's basic stuff, but those are intense dances.
Yeah.
And people, when they call themselves a line dancer, they're like, no, you're a hip-hop dancer that is in a honky tonk.
Right.
And the thing is, again, if you play that hip-hop song, we can only play one song at a time. If you play that hip-hop song, where did the Cowboys go?
Right.
Okay, now you've played 3 in a row. Where did the Cowboys go? Okay, now you've played 10 in a row.
They're gone.
They're
They're
30
not
minutes.
here. Yeah,
this guy did not get on the floor.
Yeah,
and not just that, when he did get on the floor, you didn't know proper etiquette, so you didn't leave a lane for him to dance. So now he's got to go find another place to dance his lady around.
Yeah.
His old lady is annoyed. Or they have to buy into it. And again, that's not to say it's not fun, but my question is always, why don't you do that in a nightclub?
Right.
And that's where we're starting to do line dancing here. Just tonight we're going to start.
Oh, that's right. We want to talk about that. So you start off with 1 hour of line dancing.
Yes, 7
Lessons
to 8.
start at 7.
Yep, 7 to 8 is line dancing, and we're going to do country line dancing. I'm going to be teaching, but of course I'm going to try to bring in some of my buddies who are way more talented than me. I'm a partner dancer, but again, why can't I?
Right.
It's just they know more line dances than me, and they're also just much more passionate about line dancing than me, and the last thing I want is to give people less than they deserve. So 7 to 8 is going to be line dancing every single Wednesday here at Hoots, and then 8 to 9 is going to be partner dancing. And so with partner dancing, this past month, we've gone through every traditional style, and the traditional styles that I stand by are the 5 of two-step, which involves two-step, Texas 2, and triple. Then we have our triple 2, which is a sanctioned dance. It closely relates to the polka, which is another traditional style. Then we have our waltz, we have our Western swing, right? We went over all those except Western swing, which if we have any Western swing instructors, I'd love for you to come teach me. But we went through those 4, the first 4 I named. And now what we're going to do is take those 4 as a foundation and try to make everyone here the best partner dancers we can find. And I would love to make Burleson just as hot as Fort Worth or Dallas with the skill, because we have so many good partner dancers. They're connected, they're smooth, they're clean. But what we're going to do is, for people who maybe are new to it, we're going to teach you the basics, right? But then on the other half of the floor, we're going to be teaching movements, combos, things for these guys to spice up their dance a little bit and challenge themselves, because dancing is always evolving. Now, some people say it's evolving as in, let's add new music, like pop. It's like, no, that's not evolution, that's digression, that's appropriation. Right. Now, if you'd like to go create a country pop style, go do it. But don't try to take from my people, and don't try to then confuse people when they're like, oh, I know how to two-step, and they waltz. And I'm like, who told you this was a two-step? You know, or they'll do a country swing, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is a triple two. And I was like, who is teaching you this?
Right.
Like, nowhere in the U.S. do we teach this. And I'm not even a ballroom dancer, you know? So, yeah, I'm just a good old country boy that's trying to teach line dancing and partner dancing every Wednesday. And if we get enough popularity, there's rumors we might even go to Saturdays.
There you go.
So, but yeah, right now, 7 to 9, Wednesdays here at Hoots. We're going to knock it out and have a good time doing it. And
come by and check us out every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
John Carter, Honky Tonk Traditions.
Yes, sir.
I'm Mike Wilshire. It's been a pleasure, sir. You have been awesome. It's always good to get a talker,
Yes,
right?
Sir.